Man, I love when a movie surprises me. Look, I have watched a lot of movies, and at this point, it's really rare for a movie to genuinely surprise me. And A Night with Nathan genuinely surprised me. A Night with Nathan is by director and co-writer Brent Baird, who stars in the movie as well alongside his co-writer Peter Comrie. And it's about a womanizing alcoholic named Stan who becomes unlikely friends with the son of one of his flings. Nathan, played by Brent Baird, and Stan, played by Peter Comrie, first meet rather awkwardly, as you'd expect, with Stan in Nathan's mother's bed after having just done what he did.
Did you just f my mom?
No.
I'm just messing with you. I'm Nathan.
Stan.
Nathan is oddly friendly from the get-go and even makes an attempt to help Stan make up with his estranged wife, who's kicked him out of the house. It doesn't work. Now Nathan feels bad and Stan agrees to have Nathan buy him a drink, so they head off to the nearest bar and the night begins.
So you just sleep with random women then? Just anyone that'll say yes?
I love all women. There's gotta be something. There's gotta be a connection there.
First of all, the characters at this point are all quite unlikable, from Nathan's mum to Stan himself, of course, and even to Nathan himself. He's not unlikable, but he's just a little bit odd. However, there is intrigue for all of their stories. You are interested in each of them individually, what they've gone through, and that's something that I think a lot of people do forget when it comes to movies and when it comes to characters. Characters don't need to be likable for them to be interesting, and that's something that I do quite appreciate when characters have flaws. They're real people. We're all real people. We've all got our stuff going on, and I appreciate when a film really does lean into that. So as we go through the night, we meet a colourful cast of characters, including a former rock star who apparently now just roams the bar and gets people to buy him drinks. But it is around here that we learn that Nathan, at the ripe old age of 33, has never been in a relationship. And so from this point on, and from what I'm describing, I'm sure you're expecting a coming-of-age story, but that's only partially true. Obviously, there exists plenty of coming-of-age stories, but usually these concern teenagers going through these experiences at the ages and at the times in our lives when we usually go through them. But there exist less films of these coming-of-age stories where it concerns someone older. So I appreciate that A Night with Nathan is exploring familiar territory in a way that is underexplored. Stan then tries to teach the awkward Nathan about how to talk to women and makes it his mission before the night is through to have Nathan have a good night.
Women love a man with confidence. You've got none.
That's your advice? Confidence?
That mission takes them to the bars through the city and eventually into the home of two young women. And this is the point of the movie that made me go, oh! I'm not going to get into spoiler territory in this video because I do think that it's better if you go in blind like I did, but I will say that the film does take its time a little bit to get to that oh point. The first half of the film it's not too slow, but it does start to drag a little bit, to the point where you're just sitting there wondering where this is actually going, what kind of movie this is actually going to be, because you know that something is not off, but something feels like it's developing, but you're just not quite sure what it is. So like most of the first act of the film, we're following just Stan in his car as he drinks and feels sorry for himself and tries to get back into contact with his wife. And so it takes a little while for the film to find its footing and get going. I appreciate that A Night with Nathan, just like Ogres, has layers, and you think that it's going in one direction, and it does for a while, but then it swerves you and you realize that what the film really is about is something much deeper. There's even a little red herring at one point where I thought the film was going to take a vastly different direction, and I was actually kind of disappointed that it didn't go that way. I thought that was going to be really interesting. A Night with Nathan does eventually settle into itself and does start to get quite serious into deep topics, and I appreciate that Baird decided to explore quite an interesting dynamic between two men that isn't really explored very much. I also appreciate Baird wanting to bring attention to a topic that really isn't talked about enough. In the end, A Night with Nathan is quite a nice kind of male bonding story about two people who fill a sort of void in each other's lives. It looks at traditional masculinity tropes and what might be behind that facade for some people. Some inconsistent editing, some awkward pacing, and an overdone ending aside, I think that the film would have benefited more. I think it would have been more effective if the ending was left a bit more open, in my opinion. I just think that it kind of, it went a little bit too long towards the end, to a point where you just think, I mean, you know, This is all very nice. The ending was nice, but I think it would have been better if they had kind of cut it 10 minutes before it actually finished. A Night with Nathan is ultimately a bold and enjoyable piece by a filmmaker who clearly has something to say. It's a very moving exploration of masculinity, intimacy, and the idea that men shouldn't talk about their feelings. If you want a video like this for your film, do get in touch at www.outsidethespotlight.com or on social media at Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And also find Outside the Spotlight on Letterboxd and Popcorn. And don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe while you're here as well for more indie reviews and movie content.